Hello and welcome to another edition of the Nick Gambaro Show. I'm Nick Gambaro, and this time I have a guest with me. You've seen him before on the show many times, my good friend Stefan Martinez. Stefan, how are you?
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You got it. And on today's show, now we've touched this in the past, but we're going to go a little bit more specific into it. Stadium relocations by city. So I'm only going to touch on a couple of them.
Okay.
And you'll find out what they are and what the stadium relocations are next on the Nick Gambaro Show.
There are many arguments against the death.
We're back on the Nick Gambaro Show with me, Nick Gambaro, and Stefan Martinez. And as I mentioned in the open, we are going to discuss stadium relocations by city. Now, I know we've talked about it and kind of given our thoughts on what team should come back into a league or, you know, where stadium should be, but I don't really think we kind of really hit home because we're going to focus first on New York and then we're going to jump to across the coast to LA because they have a lot of things going on, you know, the Rams coming back, and I think some ideas that we discussed in the past, maybe some ideas where teams should be, shouldn't be, all that. So let's start with it. We'll start with football first, of course. It's the biggest sport. Jets and Giants. Now, I know we've talked about it. I kind of jotted some notes down. My ideal place, and then I want to see where you, if they could play in New York, I would want them in Flushing next to Citi Field. I know that's very difficult, being that you're in the five boroughs and a stadium has to hold at least 80,000 people, being that you're in the biggest city in the country. And they played at Shea Stadium from 64 to 1983. So they have some history in Queens and relations with the Mets.
Yeah.
So that would be my ideal place to build it next to Citi Field and have that relationship with the Mets and to finally be in New York City technically. I mean, do you have any thoughts or where you would put them?
I think city would be tough, just because they have a lot of condominiums that were just built out there.
Yeah.
They would have to knock down several parking structures by Citi Field. They would have to get rid of all those garages, which I don't think they want to do, because that brings in revenue for the Mets. So when you look at it realistically, is the Jets moving to Queens a realistic expectation at this point? Probably not. And the fact that MetLife was just built, I don't think that would bode well for the Jets to move for a stadium that was just built, which is a neutral color. It's not blue like Giant Stadium.
Yeah.
It's all gray, and you can change it out for both teams. Number two, and more importantly, the city, I don't think it wants to pay for another building. I don't think it wants to pay for, another structure. Although I don't know if Woody Johnson, the Jets owner, would want to pay for his own building. I think he would want some assistance from the, state of New York and, Andrew Cuomo, who is, the governor. So, I mean, that would be a very dicey situation if they were to try to. And I don't think the Mets would want to share a parking lot, because you see it with the Ravens and the Orioles in Baltimore, how the Orioles sometimes have to get their games switched so that the Ravens have the night game on a Thursday. It's a bit of a conundrum. So
It is.
I don't know if I specifically.
But we know many
like that.
Many teams, many sports cities that have multiple teams do share a parking lot. Philly, for example, is a great one.
Yeah, their conflict is huge.
It's huge though, so they can manage a bunch of cars because they have the Wells Fargo Center, Citizens Bank Ballpark, and Lincoln Financial Field
all in
one, which is pretty awesome. But
yeah,
in the Philly's a big city,
yeah,
but nothing like
Philly's
New
not
York.
congested like New York.
No.
You go to a lot of places in New York, it's a lot of congestion. The traffic would be a horror show. So I don't know if New Yorkers would go for
Yeah,
that.
I mean, that would just be my ideal place where I would like to see them play, and
Yeah.
maybe one day, who knows, but for now, like you just said, you brought up some great points about how MetLife was just built. It's neutral, so, like you said, Jet fans don't have to worry about it being called Giant Stadium and the seats being red and blue, Giant colors, and so it's kind of their home, although it still doesn't feel, homey.
I don't
but
think it feels homey to both teams. I think it serves its purpose. Not to
Yeah.
use a poor choice of words, but it doesn't feel homey to both teams. And the thing that I find interesting is that it doesn't hold noise very well. So there's not that intimidation factor where in Giant Stadium you would get intimidated when the other opposing team would walk in there. The wind would be swirling, the place would be loud, and they were right on top of you at the old place. This place doesn't have the same sort of, structure in terms of the way it's built from a architectural standpoint.
Right.
So that's another interesting dynamic.
Yeah, the Jets, they played from 1984 to 2009 in Giant Stadium, and then 2010 they moved into MetLife. So when they first started, they played at the Polo Grounds for 3 seasons, and they played, but, mainly at Shea and Giant Stadium.
Yeah.
And now MetLife.
The Giants started at Yankee Stadium.
Right, the Giants, they played in many places. They played at the Polo Grounds as well, Yankee Stadium, the Yale Bowl up in Connecticut for a season, Shea Stadium for a season. Because if you remember, the Jets, Mets, Giants, and Yankees all shared.
75.
Yeah, shared Shea Stadium. And then Giant Stadium and MetLife. So for me, but you're the Giant fan, so I want to really get your take. My thing would be, now the Bronx, there's not a lot of room, but because you're a giant Yankee fan, it would be, in a dream world, it'd be kind of cool for you probably to see the Giants and Yankees play adjacent to each other.
Honestly, not really.
No?
I would want the Giants to either move to Manhattan, which is probably not a realistic expectation, or I'd say keep them in Jersey, just because the fan base is really rich in Jersey. They had a documentary and a small video about how Giant fans
On the NFL Network.
They identify with, they call them the Jersey Giants, because this is where they came. This is where generations of Giant fans grew up watching this team play. Now, the Maras have spent a lot of money. Wellington Mara, the ownership group, the Tishes, has spent a lot of money in this building. So did the Jets and their people. So I don't know if they necessarily want to leave there. I don't think the Giants have a problem with it. I think it's more of a Jet fan feeling like the little brother. And I'm not saying that to be divisive.
No.
This is just what it feels like when me and you speak about it, or I speak
100%,
to other Jet fans who feel like there's this inferiority complex. We feel like the little brother, and they just seem to always get the better of us, which I don't think is necessarily always the case. I mean, both teams were bad there for a stretch, and then you guys went to 2 AFC championships. The Giants were in.
We really came into in the 80s as like a renter, basically, just because we moved out of Shea, and then the Jets had to move somewhere, so the only place to move was Giant Stadium. So it was basically the Giants' place, but we just kind of stayed there, and it was always frustrating. And for Jet games too, the atmosphere would be loud and stuff. And even MetLife now, I look at it, I'm like, it's a nice stadium and everything.
It just feels
neutral
bland.
site, but it's very bland. I want some place to feel like the Jets' home.
Yeah.
And neither place since I've been alive have really felt. Like Shea, as a Met fan, I felt that connection. And the Coliseum with the Islanders, I felt that. Even with Barclays now. Now, it's only been 1 season, but after what happened this year and transpired, you kind of, all right, this could be our home for a while.
Okay.
So, What do you think about Staten Island with the Giants?
Ah,
I know it's still a borough, so it's kind of congested.
it's rough because
but
there's
it's
no,
more suburban compared to the other four.
And the thing is, there's no mass transit that goes to Staten Island.
Right, except the
So,
ferry, which...
You would have to literally drive to the Giant games, and I don't think many Giant fans want to do that. I know there's public transportation to MetLife. It's a bit of a hassle.
It's pain, but
From what I heard,
it can be
but
done.
it can be done. I don't know if there's the same level of, accommodations if you go towards Staten Island, because it doesn't seem as though they have their transit system set up to accommodate a building. It
Right.
depends where you put it. You can't put it deep in Staten Island, and I don't know if.
Yeah,
Again,
and
I
I
don't
was
know.
thinking near the ballpark where the Staten Island Yankees play, but it's hard over there.
Yeah, it's rough. But listen, Staten Island's a nice area. I just don't know if the taxpayers would want to pay for something
Yeah,
like that.
I just figured to have both NFL teams in, the 5 boroughs. I
Yes.
think fans would love it.
Of course.
And yeah, they would never change the Giants name to New Jersey Giants, but it's interesting how they call them that, though, some
Yeah.
Jersey fans, and they really feel connected to that team.
Yeah.
So, but don't you think many of the population, like, how do you, as a Giant fan and a fellow New Yorker, how do you feel, man, like, we gotta play in Jersey, or you like,
It doesn't matter.
or you're okay with it?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, tell me,
Because-
I want to play, like, in New York, and
See,
in,
I don't get lost in the semantics of the geographical destination of where the building is. What I will say to you is that would you want to be in New York? Absolutely, but realistically, I don't know if that's something you can do. I don't see that as a real destination. And look, let's be very, very clear here. New York is a very, very big city, but I don't think taxpayers would want to pay
no.
for 2
And then I
separate
even brought up to you about the Islanders, which we'll get to next, and a couple other teams here in New York.
Mhm.
Long Island and everything. The Jets used to practice at Hofstra, maybe building a stadium near there. But again, taxpayers won't want to pay for a new stadium. It'd be hard. You can kind of maybe.
You've seen it with the Islanders, so if they're not willing to put a hockey team back there,
They're definitely not
I
going
don't
to put
think
an
football
NFL team.
Yeah, I don't think that makes much
But
of
we're going to get into the Islanders and a couple of other teams in the area that we're going to discuss. Then we're going to move on to the West Coast. So don't go anywhere. The Nick Gambaro Show with me and this guy, Stefan Martinez. We'll be right back after this.
Because of camp, I learned to make lasting friendships with people I still keep in touch with today.
Because of camp, I turned out just fine.
We're back here on the Nick Gambaro Show with me, Nick Gambaro, and my friend, co-host, Partner in Crime,
There you
Stefan
go.
Martinez. And we're going to continue our talk on stadium relocations by city, staying in our home city,
Yeah.
New York City. I know we're not going to talk about this much because I think at nauseum talked about it with the Islanders. This guy, he's not even an Islander fan, and he's frustrated with it as well.
Kim, I know this is your show, but let me ask you this one question.
Sure, you
I
can
mean,
ask me in.
At what point does it become like repetitive? You know you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The Barclays Center is not conducive for hockey. I understand that. The building itself needs to be a bit remodeled. They need to do some things with it. But why do I see every couple of weeks there's a story? They're thinking about moving here. They're thinking about moving there. If the move was legitimate, they would have came to you with an offer before you moved into the Barclays Center.
Right.
Like, why is this even a topic of conversation? I feel like we've gone over this ad nauseum.
We have.
So many times. Is this team gonna move? Now listen, Barclays Center was a pretty good atmosphere last year.
It was
It
not
wasn't
Coliseum-esque,
No, but you gotta remember, that building was old. That building held sound. That building was built to rock.
but...
Okay? So you're coming into a new modernized building where it's not as it doesn't sound very well.
It's not
But
as boisterous.
Excuse me. It held the sound pretty good.
Oh yeah.
You were at the playoff game last year, and it rocked to me.
It
And
did.
this is from watching on TV. I don't know what it was like in the building because I wasn't there, but I will tell you that, you know, we have to stop. Oh, we need to move. Listen, it's a pretty good building. Are there some things that I would change? Yeah. But you can say that about any new arena.
Thank you. So that's
I'm
why
just
on
saying
my
that.
notes
I
put.
didn't mean to take the lead there, but
No, I put an exclamation, like 5 exclamation points. Stay in Brooklyn. Why move? You know, they played at the Coliseum 43 years, long time. You gotta move out some point, unfortunately. Your county, again, didn't want to pay for it.
Yes.
Therefore, they had to move. So Long Island is out of the question to me.
Yes.
Because I know there was reports about them moving to Elmont in Nassau County, near Belmont Park, the racetrack. Not going to happen.
No.
I can't see it. They're not going to pay for it. And where are you building it near Belmont Park? There's all people's homes. So you're not knocking people's homes down to build an arena or next to City Field. But same concept. Now, it might be a little easier than a football stadium, but you got to knock down those auto shops, the abandoned auto shops by City Field. The parking lot, you got to talk with the Mets about that because...
I mean, good luck with that, first of all.
Yeah, and you're
Because
talking
the
to the
Mets-
Wilpons. That was the first report. Was talking to the Wilpons about moving to City Field, and you know their history.
Look,
with
you're asking the Wilpons to do something that they wouldn't ordinarily do, and that give up money. The franchise is barely struggling. The Mets payroll, okay, for just all intents and purposes, is at $110 million. Okay, so let's not get it twisted and act like the Mets are flowing in money here. Just saying.
yeah,
Just saying. I don't know where where this whole thing is. Oh, will they share parking lots? I don't know.
but we're gonna wrap up the show, and we'll talk about some more stadiums when we come back after this on the Nick Gambaro Show. If you have any questions or comments, you can always email us at the Nick Gambaro Show at gmail.com. We're back here on the Nick Gambaro Show. Nick Gambaro alongside Stephen Martinez here. And we got a few minutes left in the show. We're going to jump East Coast to West Coast, out to Los Angeles,
My future home.
Me too, by the way.
Let's go.
A lot's going on there. As this year, you know, the Rams moved back to Los Angeles. I actually didn't know when they first came into the league. They actually did play for a short time at the Coliseum, and then they moved down the freeway to Anaheim and played there for a while. They played from 1946 to 1979 at the LA Coliseum, and then from 1980 to 1994 they played at Anaheim Stadium, where the Angels still play their baseball. And now they're back at the Coliseum after being in St. Louis since '95, where they won a Super Bowl.
Real quick, clerical error. The stadium in Anaheim that the Angels now playing is considered a new building. They opened that up in I think 2000. So that's
Well, I thought that was
relatively
the
new.
same stadium.
No, different building.
All right, my fault. Thank you for the correction, because I watched the documentary. I don't know if you saw it on the NFL Network, Last Day in LA.
Yeah.
They were reminiscing, walk around the stadium. Oh, that's where this was and this used to be. So So I just, thought, and I looked online that it's been around since the '60s. But
no, but it's a new ballpark
okay,
because they have the waterfalls in there.
yeah. But now they're moving to a new stadium in Englewood, California. It's right next to LAX, the famous airport,
and the Freeway 110.
Right there. I think it's a good move for the Rams. I would have actually liked to seen them back in LA, build them a stadium near.
But Inglewood's like, I want to say maybe 25 minutes outside of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Because the Lakers played in Inglewood at the Forum before they moved to Staples in 2000.
Okay.
So they were at the Forum for a while, and then Staples opened, and then in downtown LA. But the Forum was actually in Inglewood, so there's been sports teams there before. Yeah.
And I guess that was their thinking, towards this move. And I know, it would have been cool, kind of, even with the Clippers too.
Yeah.
They used to share the center with the Ducks, or what used to be the Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim. They used to call it back in the day. Sort of to get an LA Anaheim kind of rivalry. I would have liked to seen the Rams and the Clippers in Anaheim and have all the other teams in LA to kind of. But that's not the way it worked out.
Now, Donald Sterling Steve Ballmer, the new Clipper owner, wants to move the Clippers out of Staples Center. So I can see a possibility where he has enough money to try and help get an arena built for the Clippers in the near future.
But do you think it'd be in LA, right? Or
Probably
somewhere?
not. Probably
No.
not. You'd probably look at Inglewood or someplace like maybe Bakersfield, somewhere in that area there, because there's a lot of land. But I don't know if they want to share Staples Center anymore, because now the Clippers started covering up the Lakers banners. When the Clippers play at Staples Center, they cover up the Lakers championship banners. So they clearly want their own building. So I think a move. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's inevitable, but I think they explore the option to move them. So.
And speaking of football too in LA, I think the Raiders should move. I know they're originally from Oakland, actually. They played there from 1960 to 1981, and then played from 82 to 94 in Los Angeles at the Coliseum there, and now back in Oakland since '95. But and now they're looking to move to Vegas along with the NHL team that is officially there.
Yeah.
The Raiders aren't officially moving just yet.
No, but they got something trademarked, and the city council did approve a possible move. So it appears that the Raiders are steps closer to moving to Las Vegas, which would be interesting.
And I want to get into this real quick. The football in LA debate, people say that they miss it. People say that they don't needed NFL teams because they have the USC Trojans there, and they can follow any NFL team they want. And LA is much like New York, where you get people from all over the country and they follow their teams. So, I mean, I think LA should have two football teams.
I agree, but here's the thing.
Okay.
It depends what two teams you bring, because the Chargers, I don't like them in LA. I would rather like to see the Oakland Raiders move to LA, because I think that would create a better rivalry, because they're going to be very good. You got Derek Carr, who's a young quarterback, Amari Cooper, Darius Haywood-Bay. I think the Rams are a couple years away from being very, very good. You just drafted Jared Goff. Todd Gurley is, of course, a very, very good running back. So that could make some sense. But at the end of the day, I don't think that the Rams made the most sense. If it was me, I would rather like to see the Raiders in Los Angeles. And if you do the Rams, that's obviously what their plan was. But I think the Raiders in LA make more sense to me than the Chargers would at this point.
Yeah, and the Chargers too, I've heard that their move might looking like it's inevitable, like it could happen. And
yeah, because they only have one more lease left at
Qualcomm.
which is
That's also a rundown building and not really a sports city compared to Los Angeles.
I think they'll be fine in Vegas. I think first of all, you have to put a team on the football field that is appealing to an audience. Like, the only reason why football is going to be appealing in LA, maybe for this year, is because it's new, it's fresh, you have your own team. But the Rams aren't very good. You watch them play football, that's not even a football team.
They're not a high-profile team. Now they're getting a new stadium in Englewood.
Yeah, but you look at the talent, you don't see anything that's sustainable, if you would. So you have to start building a roster to resemble the city in which you come from. So I think that they have a lot of work to do on the football side. Geographically, it looks nice. But what roster are you putting on the football field that makes LA fans want to spend their hard-earned money to watch you play?
Exactly. But that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Nick Gambaro Show. Thank you so much to Stefan Martinez for coming on.
Appreciate it anytime. I'm
Nick Gambaro. This is Stefan Martinez. And that's it for this show. So we will see you next time.
By the way, before we leave, let me just plug the podcast. The Nick and Steph podcast. You can catch us on Facebook Live. Follow me, Stefan Martinez, on Facebook. Follow him, Nicholas Santinelli Gambaro. We try to give you guys one podcast per week, usually on a Friday, depending on what our schedules may look like, but you can catch us there as well.
Absolutely. And we will see you next time on the Nick Gambaro Show.